what they're talking about everybody that's in the reentry or everybody that's in this group that want to be down with it to if you got a nonprofit, like all your nonprofits for reentry, join alliance,
Mm-hmm.
and that way you got a bigger alliance. That way you can go in the courtroom and become an outlet or take your program or your curriculum to people that might be getting sentenced to probation and help them, saying let that be a part of it. And that way, instead of going there with your nonprofit, you going in there with a national alliance
Right.
that's known for the work, and it looks a little bit better. So, I mean, I've been thinking about it the last few days. This is something that I think I'm gonna go ahead and join.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Well, I hope that um some I know some good work will definitely come out of it. You know,
yeah,
I know here in Virginia, I got some bad news, which is kind of why I disappeared for a little bit
uh-huh.
because I had gone up before the parole board on the behalf of a loved one, and it was just really disheartening that they turned them down for parole again,
Wow.
and to see how they have released murderers who have done far worse, served less time for murder. Um, and I just don't get it. You know, in Virginia, they have this the way the parole board is set up, and I'm going to try to get an updated copy of their manual. Um,
Right.
According to the 2006 manual, they said it's written that when a person goes up for parole, they either meet with a parole board member or a representative of the parole board. Now, what happens is that they always 99.9% meet with a representative, and the person sitting there taking notes, writing the notes by hand. It's
Okay.
not recorded, so you don't know what's being written and being said, gone, to the what's being written and what the parole board is reading. And then if you try to use the FOIA to get a copy of your parole board records, for whatever reason, the inmates can't get that
Oh
so that
wow.
they can see what's in, because if they can see what's in it, then it's like, oh, okay, well, this is, you know, at least they can combat if there's any
Right.
information there that's wrong,
That's wrong. They'd be able to defend
address it.
themselves, address it.
Yeah. So it's just, I'm just like, and I don't like it because the parole board has sat down and had a conversation with me, and I'm not incarcerated. So if you can spend an hour with the general public on the behalf of someone that's going up for parole, why
Right.
is it that you can't spend 30 or 40 minutes with an inmate that's going up for parole, especially someone who's been incarcerated for such a long time?
Right.
So I'm just kind of scratching my head as to, what the next move should be. And then, for instance, let's say like if your date for parole is in July, you have your hearing in July, but you may not get a decision until December. Then they tell you you have 90 days to appeal the decision. Well, guess what? After within 90 days, it's almost July again.
Yeah, it's almost July. Right.
You
Sure is.
know, I don't know. So I'm just, trying to wrap my head around this whole situation.
Yeah. That's what I be talking about. Linda, this is Lester just came in the building.
Hey,
I don't know,
Lester,
I don't know if you seen Lester
I have.
yeah,
I did.
but yeah. We can't hear you.
His
You
lips is moving, but I don't hear a word.
yeah,
Oh,
I don't need it.
I said
Okay.
blessings. Blessings. How y'all doing? How y'all doing?
Okay. How you doing, Mr. Lester?
Good.
I'm great. I'm great. What's good, man? I wanted to jump in on the call today, man. Everything
Yeah,
cool?
well, Linda was explaining this parole board situation that she had went through. She had spoke on behalf of somebody that's incarcerated on their, you know what I'm saying, on their parole hearing. And she ain't like the way that she ain't like the way it turned out. I mean, I understand because, you know, I've seen a lot of people have parole hearings and it didn't. I mean, a lot of things that went on didn't make no sense. My personal own parole hearing that I had when I was in the state, because in the feds, you don't have no parole hearing. You go, they give you out date. But when I was in the state, my parole hearing was probably like maybe a minute at the longest. I went in there, they looked at me, they said, Mr. Sims, you are a part of the problem. You got a few more years with us. And what do you think about institutional behavior treatment? I felt like I had papers and all that stuff I wanted to present. But they said what they said. I felt like it wasn't no need for me to even present the paper. You said, I got a few more years with you. I'm part of the problem. And I said yes to the institutional behavior treatment because I knew through people that went through the treatment that once you go, they send you up at least a year before your release date. And it's only a 6-month treatment. So if you complete it, you will get at least 6 months out earlier. You know, with me, they sent me like a year and a half before my out date. So I did the 6 months and I actually got out a year earlier than what I was supposed to. You know,
I just find it, you know, for me, it's just very disheartening because, you know, you go and just to give you a little background. Yeah, it was murder. It was in self-defense. There was another person involved, which he did not name. And then there was a woman involved. And to make a long story short, he, you know, just did, I guess, the right thing and didn't tell the part that the other people played. Because the counsel he received was like, well, if you plead to this, you probably only have to do 12 years and you out. So he's like, okay, you know, I'll do 12. Had it been me, I'd have been singing on everybody.
Oh, no.
I ain't going, you know. So they ended up giving him X amount of years to life, but you would be eligible for parole in 12. The 12 has come and gone, and now it's over 30.
Wow.
And every time they go up for the parole board, it's always some type of bull. So the last time when I went and I was talking with them, you know, they wanted to know about, you know, their home plan. Well, so she was like, well, who lives with you, Alinda? I was like, let me make this real plain to you. I have a national security clearance with the federal government. I'm not getting ready to lose my clearance over no bull. Now, I have dogs and me. That's who lives in my house. I have opened up my door for them to come and stay here because it would be like a win-win situation. You take care of the dogs, but I know you need a place to live until you get back on your feet because I've known you for a while. I'm like, I make nice money. And I know that, you know, somebody that's been incarcerated that long, it's going to take a minute to get employed. But fortunately, where I live, there are a lot of opportunities in this little town for employment because we've got a lot of mom and pop shops, you know, where you don't have to go through the traditional, you know, like going to work for a major corporation.
Right.
And it's just really disheartening because they let out this chick, I can't call their name right now, but I'll get it. I'm gonna send you the website. This white girl and her boyfriend killed her parents because she had an issue with her parents. She convinced her boyfriend to kill her parents. They out of jail. They did about 30 years each. They released them. This was premeditated murder now, double murder. And they were supposed to get like 2 life sentences. But I really believe in that case, some politics played the part because when they released them, they shipped her behind back to Canada. And this dude was the relative of a German diplomat.
Oh, wow. Hey, let me ask you a quick question though. Like in in that parole process, does this person have any victims that advocating against them not making parole? Two, have y'all prepared for like parole packets or anything like that?
I mean, this is my first time doing it, so
Okay.
I'm kind of like trying to wing it, and I'm getting information. I
Yeah.
don't know. To my knowledge, the only person that he knew that his victim, the relatives, was a sister,
Okay.
and he was kind of following her over the years, and then she's like dropped off the face of the earth. So anything could have happened. Her name could have changed. She might be deceased, you know.
Okay.
And he didn't know the other family members, so it's like,
And why I say that, because I was in South Carolina prison, and I was given a life sentence at 19,
mhm,
and I finally made parole after about 22 years inside of the system, and I killed a white guy in South Carolina. But the point of that is that one of the things that I did that was completely different than most is that I cut myself from the herd. Most people who go for parole, they go with the same talk, the same language, the same everything.
right,
Um, and what I know I was really determined to do was to cut myself from the herd, and that meant changing my whole behavior inside of prison. Where most individuals in prison, they just sit and do their time and stay out of trouble. I
mhm,
started teaching classes and creating programs inside of the prison system.
right,
Start building relationships with the prison chaplains and wardens, not to just get out of prison, but to cut myself in the herd with the programs.
mhm,
Not just because most people go to prison, they take up programs, and they never take the initiative in creating programs.
mhm,
So that was one thing I did, and then the second thing, I started communicating like years before I went up for my parole board here, and I would send letters to each individual. I had my family member find out each member's name on the parole board, and I would send them a letter every 3 months. And
mhm.
the letters was just to give them an update of who I am.
Okay.
Really not, what I'm saying? My letters every 3 months, I would, if it's a new class that I've taken, what if I'm doing in that prison system that is going to cut me from the herd and show a change of heart, because that's what
Mhm,
this parole's about, is showing a change of heart and showing
mhm,
remorse for the crime. So I would, because I know I only had like 3 minutes after doing 20 years to be able to articulate my story in 3 minutes was impossible. So I
right,
started doing it by letter writing every 3 months. And from there, I started creating what is called a parole packet. And the parole packet consists of letters that I've written. Family members have written letters. I created a petition to the community, where I got like family members, church members, anyone that will be willing to sign this petition. Where I got like over 500 signatures of individuals who believe that I should be given a second chance to come back into the community. That was the third thing that I did, and then from there I started getting, as I said, getting family members to start writing letters about the change that they see in me. And
mhm,
then the second part, the fourth part of my parole packet was just my certificates, things that I've done in the 30 years, I mean, the 20 years in prison. I just had certificates outlined for my program, but also I was very detailed in my pre-release plan. Like, what is my plan going to be when I get out of prison? So I had a 5-year plan that I've written out, some, just projecting the things that I wanted to accomplish in that 5 years. So I wrote all of that down, and I put all of that in a parole packet. And again, I sent a individual packet to each parole member, so that now when I go up, not only do they have my institutional record, they now have a parole packet with all of my accomplishments, all the letters that I've written them over the last 4 to 5 years. They had letters. So it is not like, oh, I don't know who he is. It's just
mhm.
like, they're not just going to open a folder and see what the prison described me as. I have been, over a course of time, built a relationship through
Okay.
sending letters to them. So that could be some of the things that you can be doing to cut yourself from the herd. And like I said, you can just like Google parole packets, how to prepare a parole packet for your loved one. And then they
Mhm,
give you all of the templates that you need. And that could be one angle. And like I said, if he's not taking classes up in prison, he should be like really taking classes and getting the certificates for these classes, but also take a class, if they do have it at the institution where he's housed at, see if there's a class he can take, what is called like impact on crime, something to help him that is talking about the victims. You know,
okay.
The
'Cause-
ICC.
Yeah, I don't know what they call it in different states. I know in South Carolina they call it impact on crime. And
Yeah,
it's
it's
really
like
a class.
crime victims.
Yeah, yeah. So
That's what they call it in Missouri too.
okay, so taking classes like that, and if they don't have a class, try to find a class where you can take. And it's really just, and the class is really set up to tell you how terrible you are and how, you know, you're this bad person and you can accept that, but you really want to have that to show the parole board that you have taken a class and you have learned and understand the pain that you have caused someone else due to your decision making, you know, and they want
Okay.
to take remorse, you know. So those are some of the things that I think that he should, if he hasn't done them yet, look at it and tell him, you like, you got to cut yourself in a herd. If it's 100 people going up for parole that day that you're going up, what's going to make you different? Like your
Right.
conversation, what is going to make you, like, you're 100 person, like what is going to make you stand out? You're going to be that one person out of the 100 people that parole board is going to look at differently. And if you're able to cut yourself from that herd, and it starts from your behavior right now, like if he went up and he got kicked out, I mean, he got denied, he should be on his mission right now to start building a relationship through letter writing and have, being that he has someone like yourself, he can send the letters to you. You can go online, find out each name of the parole board members and the address and send the letters to them and start keeping the documentation of all the letters.
I am definitely going to do that, and thank you so much for the suggestion. The only little rebuttal that I have right now is because of the way this institution is ran.
Yeah.
When certain classes and programs come up, even though technically they're supposed to be eligible to take these classes, they generally offer those classes to those individuals who have less time to do, and then put the people like him way on this long waiting list. You know, and so he keeps getting. But I mean, I know you can't stop, but you know, because even when I went to the parole board, I told them, I said, you know, they were like, well, what do you want us to know about him? And I gave them the information. I said, but I also want you to know that 6 times a day, 7 days a week, he puts his life at risk because he goes out there and cleans this pod so that these other inmates don't catch this COVID-19. And the guards are not doing it. I'm like, but he does it. Even when the other inmates who are assigned to do it don't do it. You know, there are times when he goes behind them. So I'm like, you know, but I appreciate that information about the parole packet, and I will definitely look it up, because he went up in July and they just gave the decision, and he has 90 days, you know,
to appeal it. Yeah. Even with this is like I said, I understand, like, because I was a violent offender, I was denied programs. I was denied. So this is what, going back again to what makes you different. You have to cut yourself from the herd. I don't know what his skill set may be. If they are denying him a class, and if he has if he's been in prison that amount of years, I'm pretty sure he has a relationship with the other men in the prison that he sees a need, especially for long-term offenders. Even if he create a support group for long-term offenders and start running this, he creates his own program, because that's in proactiveness, is that he creates his program that will better assist other men like him. And that's what I had to do. When I was in life, I was a violent offender, got overlooked for most of the class, and this will put me in the position, said, if you don't give it to him, I'm going to create my own classes, and I'm going to build these classes and get the good relationship with these men, and that is going to be a class that the prison warden is going to start respecting now. You see what I'm saying? That's what I mean, cutting yourself from the herd, is that, okay, if they're overlooking me, I'm going to create something that makes you different, you know?
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I like that. I think a lot of people should take that approach. I mean, you really serious about, you know, making that change, and, you know, trying to get home, especially after all them years.
Yeah.
I think that's the best route to take. Because like you said, Lester, you know, on the parole hearings, they really just going in there, opening up a folder and
well, they're seeing is who you used to be. They're seeing the crime that you committed in 1989, 1990. That's the only thing that they see. and they got 100 folders in front of them. So they're like, man, everybody's saying the same thing. But you walk in there and you say, hey, since I've been denied with parole and I realized that I needed programs, I had my family members send me self-help books. I studied these self-help books and I created my own program to help not only me, but I help other individuals inside of the prison system.
Gotcha.
That right there be like, oh wow, what's the name? You know,
Right.
and you saying that now, and since I've been denied in the last year, I've helped change over 100 individual lives. Not only cleaning the dorms up and protecting people from COVID, I've now helped change the mindset of the people. You know what I'm saying? And that right there carries a lot of weight when you're able to do that. You know, so just see where he's at as far as education, his interest in books, and like I said, you there with him, find some good books to send to him and get him to use these particular books as curriculums and create programs. And like I said, if you need, we can communicate. I'll communicate with him to help him give like an outline of what he needs to be doing as far as the program is concerned. And he can just run with it, cut himself from the herd. That should be the conversation going forward. Like, what's going to make you that one odd person that they're going to look at and say, wow, man, you truly have reformed yourself, and we're going to give you that second chance.
And I just want to let you know, with this information that you're giving me, I'm also going to use my master's degree to create something, because I have I'm going to start back up in July. I'm trying to do a Zoom meeting called Saving Our Men, specifically for men, whether you've been incarcerated or what have you, because what I'm learning is that a lot of men are really in pain.
Absolutely.
And they hurt. And I've spoken to some men who have been sexually molested and were so ashamed because they didn't know who they could talk to. And just going through life and not having the type of support that they need. So I'm definitely going to use many of the things that you've said to reformat what I'm trying to do with Saving Our Men, you know, because it's very disheartening for me as a woman to see so many of our men not moving forward and being stuck. I mean, you know, you just stuck. And a lot of them, they just don't know what to do. They don't know which direction to go. They, you know, so.
But listen, check this out, sis. See, you just said that saving our men, right?
Yes.
Check this out. See, that's cutting you from the herd right there. See, you're saying that once you create the core competency, the mission, and the whole purpose of that program, once you outline that program, that's all he needs. He can use that same program, the same outline of a program that you're using out here. He can create that same program. So now your organization, you create saying that Saving Our Men is inside out. Inside out, meaning that I'm working through this person that you're talking about that is going up for parole. He's inside of prison helping us teach this Saving Our Men, because inside of a prison, as Cadell knows, is that all of us, man, we struggle with that issue of shame and ego and pride in prison. He's been there 30 years. He should at least be able to get 10 to 15 men every week into a gathering, and you give him the outline of that program. That's the program that cuts him from the herd. So now when he goes up for parole, he's now saying that you and I are saying not only does this person cleans the unit, but me and him over the last year or so, we have created a program that has changed, blah, 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 blah. And being that you have a master's degree, you can implement a post-test and a pre-test. That's key. And you know what I mean? And keep a review and have them write reviews for the programs that you outline. That right there is your key.
All right. Thank you, my brother. Power to the people.
That's the key, sis. That's your key to freedom. If he implements it and if he about his business, it shouldn't be hard for him to get 30 to 15 men in that prison, man, to congregate and to stop building a program out that cuts him from the herd.
Gotcha.
You've been there 30 years, you could easily get 10 to 15. He know everybody
Right.
in prison.
Facts.
And he don't have to if they don't even let him get no room or no educational room, he can find some room in the dorm. He been in that long.
Yeah.
He can find a spot area in the dorm to, to hold to have it.
Bro, we
Right.
used to hold classes in our rooms. Before I
Yeah.
got approved, I used to
That's
hold
what I'm about
classes
to
in my
say.
room, bro. You know what I'm
Man.
saying? I got like 10 dudes stacked in my room and we build it to a
Yeah.
point where we built that out, that they saw it. It's
Right.
about just getting started.
Got it.
Mhm.
Thank you.
No problem.
Indeed. So yeah, man. What's the name? We one of our members, they got the job. Desiree, she got that job, Linda.
Really?
Yeah, she got the job with the
That's
Amazon.
good.
It came through for her. And then I hooked her up with the mentor, Marissa.
Okay.
They both been contacting me saying that it been going pretty good.
Good.
She really needed that mentorship. I see we got someone new on. I don't know if I'm saying your name right. Jana, you're on mute. Don't be scared to come in and say anything. We all open in here.
Yeah.
Actually, I am stuffing my mouth eating dinner.
Okay.
So I
go
do
ahead.
apologize. Yes, I seen the pop-up, so I thought I'd join in and see what was going on.
Yeah. So yeah, this is the reentry support group. We deal with people we've been in prison, helping people trying to make the transition while in prison to making a smooth and successful reentry, and also those that are out that may be struggling to find resources or needing a mentorship or need some advice. This is what the group is all about. Well, we have different people that come in every week. They share their stories. They help out people. We just here to help. It's kind of like a NAAA version of, but for reentry and prison. I don't know what to call it. Something like that.
I know.
Because
It's a
the door is
support.
open and the line's open because you never know what somebody's going through getting out of prison, and
Right.
they might be stuck. Just like what's the Tatiana? She had the felony and she couldn't get the housing
Mm-hmm.
because of the felony. People that kept checking her background, and so it was hard for her to get the housing. And then she last week she was saying that the move that she made, where they supposed to move, the people that was moving out, they end up changing their mind. And so now they couldn't go to Colorado because the
What?
people decided not to move out.
So what are they doing now?
She said they trying to figure it out. They back to square one. So what I told her was they didn't know if they was going to stay or if they was going to leave. So what I told her was what she needed to do is sit down and she needed to write down if we stay. Need have in one section if we stay. Write down the pros and cons about if you stay. As far as financial wise, how much money, as far as rent and everything that is going to take, all the resources in the area that people that help with the housing assistant, food assistant, clothing assistant. You need to write all this down if you stay where you at. Then if you move, you need to write down 5 places where you could possibly move. And then you need to break down the same way the pros and cons, how much you're going to need financially. You need to start locating the people in these areas, Googling, see who offers what resources,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's HUD, Salvation Army, Goodwill, all these. You need to find the names of these people and get them on the phone and talk to them. And you need to weigh all this out. So that way you got it all on paper, and you won't just be thinking about it in your head. You can actually go to the paper and see, okay, this is where we at. And, this is where we try to do, and this is where we trying to go. And if we decide to move, we got these options. I've talked to these people already. So if we go here, I can go ahead and meet with them because I talked with them on the phone. I can set up a meeting, go in, get the resources or the help that I can get, and then we can go from there. But yeah, She's like, she just feel like shit, they didn't know what to do. She kind of stuck.
Where,
And
where
I'm
do they
like,
live?
the best thing to do when you stuck is to put it all on paper, your
Right.
options.
Where do
you
they
know.
live now?
Huh?
Where is she living? I forgot.
St. Louis.
She's in St. Louis?
Yeah, remember she was telling
Yeah,
about how
yeah.
her car got shot up or something like that.
Right,
She's
right,
in a
right.
bad area in St. Louis too.
You know what? If you get a chance, because I don't have her information, have her to call me because in Fredericksburg, this little suburb that I'm living in, it's really starting to blow up with employment. Richmond, Virginia is like 45 miles south. And it's a lot of stuff that's going on. So if you get a chance to tell her to just to call me, get in contact with me, and I'll see what I can find out about what's going on here. Like I said, there are a lot of mom and pop businesses in this area. They just built a brand new minor league baseball field. They're getting ready to build start construction on the largest VA hospital clinic in Spotsylvania County. We got, I don't know how many Walmarts here, you know, and some of the Walmarts were staying open 24 hours before COVID, but now they're staying open till like about 11. So it's definitely a lot of stuff that's going on here. And I'd like to just, get that information out to her. And I mean, just to give her, a place to start looking if she wants to leave St. Louis, not to mention the fact we've got really great schools here, because I know she has children.
Yeah, she got the children.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she usually on. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. She usually be on. She hasn't missed too many calls.
Okay. Cool.
So yeah, I will get in contact. I think you might have her email.
You know what? I'll have to go and look because
Yeah, you got all kind of emails.
man, I don't even want to talk about it. Ain't nothing nice.
Yeah. And so what I want to do in December is always be talking about, prioritizing what you value. So I got a couple those you don't know, I just released a called Attacking Recidivism, the Reentry Journey. It's a workbook. I got a teacher edition and I got a student workbook.
Okay.
And the workbook is comprised of a lot of different exercises that you do, focusing based on a lot of things like values, perceptions, your morals, your beliefs, like resume building. It just covers a lot of things. And I think next month I'm gonna see, we might maybe do a worksheet or focus on one of the worksheets on one of the calls, and this to see where certain, like, where your values, the people that's coming in, see where their values lie. I mean, they different exercises, but they I find them really, really fun. They're really cool, and it just be something that you can really take a look at. Because I actually did one the other day, and it kind of shocked me for real. But I think they help as well.
I like
Okay.
it. Also, too, hopefully by in the next couple of weeks, I'll be through with the curriculum that I have. And it's a curriculum based on the 4 components of emotional intelligence. I believe that people, rather you've been in prison, but it's geared towards those who are returning home from prison or currently in prison. And emotional intelligence is really helping people to be able to better understand how to control and be aware of their emotions. Almost 95 to 80% of the people that are in prison or reoffend in prison was an emotional decision. It's like an emotional decision was the reason, because most people don't understand how to manage, how to control emotions. So emotional intelligence is that people, and most times, are judged based upon their IQ. Like Linda, you mentioned you have a master's degree. You have a high aptitude, right, of intelligence to be able to get that master's degree. But one of the key things that I'm pretty sure you can agree upon is that you had a level of control of your emotional response to a lot of things. You made a lot of good choices based upon your emotions. You learned how to delay instant gratification for the long-term goal. People that are successful are people who learn how to delay instant gratification, those who learn how to manage stress, those who learn how to deal with conflict resolution and in the most effective way, the most emotional and intelligent way, right? So this is what I'm working on too, that we can possibly use or collaborate, brother, in this, because I think it's important that people, especially those who are coming from a prison environment or returning home from prison, understand how to even communicate effectively in a not an aggressive way. One of the biggest challenges for me when I came home from prison, I've talked to dudes the majority of my 98% of the times in prison I talk to guys.
Right.
Right. And it's always an aggressive way.
Right.
I would even teach classes. I taught men for so long that when I came home, it was already embedded in me in how I communicate. I communicated aggressively because that's how I communicate with the men in prison. But we come to find out that many of us, when we come home, we have to also change the way in how we communicate. Because I didn't communicate with a female, rather maybe on the phone, but to have a lengthy conversation, day in and day out conversation with a female, it wasn't there. So it created a disadvantage in how I communicated with people. So that's some of the things I think is important too. Like when you talk about resume building, we got to think about how do we help people prepare as far as nonverbal communication, and verbal communication. Like you get this job, do you understand the value of delaying instant gratification? That when you get this paycheck, you need to know where your money's going. Like every cent that you make, you need to know where that money's going. Most people don't. So they have a knee-jerk reaction to anything that comes in. So money represents to them party, have fun, just got out of prison. I'm going to buy clothes, I'm going to buy shoes, and not making really sound decisions. So I'll be sharing that in the coming weeks with you guys as well. Is just to help people understand that emotional intelligence component in that transition, because that's going to be the most effective way in they going forward in this journey.
I see Denise came in. Denise, man, how's the research going?
Is she asleep? You on mute? Denise.
She's on mute. Yeah, I'll let Denise tell you about this research that she's doing when she come off mute.
I think she's working on her PhD, on her doctorate.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's what's up. Yeah, I think that those are key things that a lot of re-entry programs inside of the prison system is missing. Is helping people better be effective communicators, and even in the society. But for men and women who are coming home from prison, we talk to female officers in an aggressive way. We talk to them officers in an aggressive way. We talk to one another aggressively. Our body language sends, if we see somebody else's body language reflecting a threat, we have a tendency of sending that same reflective body language back. But in the real world, out in the society and part of your acclimation, it could be perceived as something like it's completely threatening to someone.
Right.
You're in a relationship with a woman, you just got out of prison after doing 30 years, and you have not been in no affectionate type relationship.
Right.
Touch you, you're not used to sleeping with someone, you're not used to someone touching you, fantasize about it, but you literally have not experienced that in 30 years. So it's going to be a rejection and a certain kind of response. So if we can start helping these individuals now learn and better become a little more familiar with how they communicate, their nonverbal communication, and how to be able to engage in a conversation that is not aggressive. How do we measure ourselves when it comes down to communication? How do we even manage our stress level? In prison, you live in a stressful environment. You come home, you're unemployed, you're dealing with all these challenges. The stress level is so high. So how do we process stress? How do we process that? Like, do we get drunk? Do we go smoke a blunt? Do we go out and just party? Do we just run away from responsibility? How do we practice that level? Do we do it in meditation, mindfulness, yoga? These are different things that I believe that needs to be taught as well.
Yeah, I most definitely agree. One of the things that way I was handling stress when I returned was I would go to the gym. I would make sure I get to the gym every day. Treadmill, just put some headphones on. You know, it's kind of like it was kind of like in a sense, it was kind of like I was on the yard still. You know, when you go into the yard and you go work out, you do your burpees, you got your headphones on, you run the track. You know, just to clear your mind and just to take your mind away from a lot of things. That's what I would do.
Mhm.
Then you walking in the gym like you in the yard pacing back and forth, mean mugging people, and now it's like intimidating. You know what I'm saying? So I'm telling you that I'm just telling you my experience that I did this. I still go to the gym to this day, but going back again to verbal communication, nonverbal communication, I've learned is that how I project myself to people can be intimidating or it can be open to a dialogue of a conversation. I remember I had a job interview one time, right? I just got out of prison after serving 22 years. And this lady told me, she said, hey, I want to hire you. I want to give you an opportunity. She said, I believe in you. You had a great interview over the phone. She said, send me a picture. Send me a picture of you so that when you buzz into my office, I know how you look. So boom, I had just got the phone, I had a cell phone and everywhere. They ain't even had cell phones when I went out, out. So I got the cell phone, I took a picture. I took a picture like I took the hardest picture, like, because that's what we do. Going back again to that's what we do.
Right.
So I took a jailhouse picture. I posed with, right? So this lady, I sent it to her. I'm like, damn, that's how going back again. I didn't know.
Right.
I sent the sister the picture. She was like, she immediately called. I was like, oh, she liked the picture. What's up? So she called me. She's like, sir, don't you ever send me a picture like that. She said, you just told me you was convicted of murder and you just served 22 years in prison and you sent me a threatening looking picture. Going back again.
Right.
I didn't see nothing wrong with the picture, right?
Right.
But she did. So how do we, I always, when I work with the men when they're coming home, I'm like, we have to deinstitutionalize our image and how we project ourselves. You're not on the yard being hard no more. You're not on the yard. You gotta learn how to smile more. You gotta learn how to loosen up your facial muscles so that people don't see you as a threat. You know? Yeah, that lady.
You got to. I mean, because
don't ever send me a picture like that.
Did you save the picture?
Yo, I took one of those joints
But do you still have the picture?
I don't know. No.
If you ever decide to write a book, make sure you use that picture as the cover.
No.
No. Wait a minute, hear me out. The Changed Man.
Yeah. I learned that, and when I was in the state and they sent me to that behavior institutional treatment. That's when I really started learning about nonverbal communication because one time me and the caseworkers really got on me because they was talking to me, and I'm already 6'5", 6'6", So when I'm sitting talking to people, I'm like this here,
right?
Head cocked to the side, I'm a chin up. And they was like, that's not no good communication skills. Like when you talk, put your chin down a little bit. You know what I'm saying? It's like talking, you got your head all the way up here. It's like, man, it's threatening. It's like you above people and everything else. So it's just them little things like that, man, that you really need to know.
Yeah.
Coming home and getting out.
That's funny.
That's key, man. It's key. It's intimidating, and it could prevent you from getting that job. Like I said, good thing this woman, she saw that, and because we had already built a relationship through communication, she was like, okay, I'm gonna ask that you take this picture again. And she brought it to my attention. Something I was unaware of is that I had a prison pose. My posture was still a prison posture, and I'm going into a job interview like that. And it's threatening when you like, I have a felony conviction. You have to lock up. People are gonna look at them like, nah, we can't hire you. And then not do that, but then we have to teach people the acclimation process and how do you, once you get that job, how do you work around people who are not felons? How do you work around people who have never been in prison before? You know what I mean? Because now you're gonna deal with anxiety. You're gonna deal with all of all of the reflexes that are going to come from being in prison. Somebody walk behind you, you're going to respond, you're going to do this, right? All of these different things. So it's just those tips, that I think that we got to always continue to emphasize with the men and women who are transitioning, is that we have to like really focus on deinstitutionalizing our thinking and our behavior and our response as we transition back into the world.
Yeah. Marissa, I see you joined us in the meeting today. How you doing?
I'm fine, Dal. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. We're just sitting here talking about some of the key things that we really need to, focus on, even the small things as far as when it comes to reentry. Just like you said, Lester, I call it the transitioning from a criminal to a civilian. Because you can't, if you really want to, you can't be out here, man, in the job field working with somebody with no criminal mentality, because you working around all civilians. You got to understand, when you at work, man, you slacking on the job, somebody gonna go tell on you, man, or they gonna say something like, hey, you want to be, and you can't be like, hey, man, you ain't gonna talk to me like that. You went and told the boss, let's go to the bathroom. You know what I'm saying? You can't just, like, you really have to, like, it's like you said, deinstitutionalize. And I just say you got to transition from a criminal mind state to being a civilian. I was talking to this guy the other day, and I was telling him, it's so messed up because the environment that I've been in, or things that I normalized is not normal, isn't normal. Like, I could walk into when I was in the streets, I could walk into a homeboy's house and he go in there, it might be a AK sitting on the couch, some weed sitting on the table, in the kitchen cooking up crack, and it'd be normal. This ain't how normal people live. You don't walk into a normal person's house and there's weed, guns, and drugs everywhere. You know what I'm saying? And a house full of people, but that was something that was normal to me on a daily basis. No matter, majority of the houses that I walked into when I was in the streets was similar to that. And I was just telling him, like, when you really think about it, like, our mindset and our condition was so terrible at the time that we really thought that was normal. And we would look at somebody strange when they come in the house and say, y'all got too much going on, I'm getting up out of here. Like they was in the fault. Like, you tripping. But in reality, we took that as normal. And that's not normal. That's not a normal person's lifestyle. Period.
It's a challenge, brother. I think, and yeah, we got a lot of work that we need to do around reentry. And I just think that those who have been impacted by mass incarceration are the ones that have the antidote to mass incarceration and recidivism, is that we have to be able to put our stories out there to be able to tell these stories. Like, no officer could not tell me, or no one in prison could have tell me that my prison posture could have sabotaged a job, because they didn't see that. That was a blind spot for them. No one told me that when I would get out of prison after 22 years that I would deal with anxiety. No one told me that I would deal with depression. Is that I've been in an environment for so long, lived in a routine for so long. Now I come home, that routine has been taken from me. I wake up, like, for example, we get up at 4:30 in the morning. Some people get up at 4:30 in the morning, they go take a shower, sit down on the bench, drink a cup of coffee, watch a certain news every day, walk to the chow hall, come back, clean up their room, lay down for a minute, get back up and go to work. That's a routine that they've been doing for 10 years, 15 years. Now they're removed from that routine, right? So now they get up at 4:30 in the morning and they walk out. They don't have to wait for the officer to open the door. So now you find a person standing at their room door at their house waiting for someone to open, and they catch that. Now they go to the shower with their underwear and everything, like how they will go with a mesh bag to the shower and realize that that's not happening. Then they wake up and waiting for, it's just the conditioning of prison, the routine hinders people from moving forward. The longer you sit in prison, the harder it becomes an adjustment process. Even some of these guys that come home, I call it the honeymoon period. Or that when you first date that girl or that woman, date, man, you high on it. And that's how guys walk out, women and men walk out of prison high. And you be like, oh, they all excited. But no one's going to tell you in the next 2 weeks, when all the attention is not on you no more. Now you have to stand and start doing stuff, because everybody celebrates you that
Right.
first couple of days you come home from prison. After that, guess what happens? Nobody paying you no attention. Everybody's going back to work. Now
Right.
you're stuck sitting at 4:30 in the morning in your room trying to drink a cup of coffee. You don't know how to operate the coffee machine. You
Mhm.
don't know how to do certain things, and all that brings depression. And now that creates a silent internal warfare that this person's processing. So with people like us who've been through it, we have to create these programs to talk about mental health. Like what is mental health looks like after prison? What does self-care looks like after prison? How do you adjust to life outside of prison is key, especially for people who are in a relationship with these individuals and they're coming home and you celebrate, you buying them, you buying them a cell phone, some shoes, some, you don't have a gift card to a mental health or to a therapist. That should be one of the number one things that a person
Right.
should give their loved one is that, so just wanted to share that as well in this conversation. I think it's very important that
I agree with that on so many levels with you, Lester. And two, it's not so much when we come out of prison, it's multifaceted for us. And there's stigmas that are attached to us. There's people that are not going to like us because, well, I mean, I'm getting a new job and I may be coming into your place and I'm on the same level as you. And those people don't want me there.
Yeah.
So I have to earn my place there, right? And I have to prove myself because the first time something goes wrong, the first time something goes missing, the first time somebody gets upset at somebody else, they're going to blame it on you.
Right.
So you have to reroute their thinking. We discussed this, Cardell, like one of our first times that we talked when it was all about the talk and it was all about the walk, and people judge books by their covers.
Mhm.
So of course they're going to be looking to see if you have that prison mentality, because that is all what's going to make you or break you when it comes to being hired. And you're right, people are not told that. And that's why the support group is good for us, but we also have to create a support group for families of people that are transitioning. So they
Right.
know what they're up against. How can I help you through those processes? What can I bring to the table? I'm not attacking you in any way. I'm your partner. I'm your mom. I'm your friend. I am somebody that's going to stand by you. How can I help you achieve these goals? Lower your anxiety, help you through this process so that I can help you be more successful. And Cardell knows that for me, it wasn't so much like I was rejected so much. One, because I'm a white female that should have known better. I was told that. And then I didn't fit in. So my class didn't even accept me, right? I was just the lowest one on the totem pole. Like I'm lower than scum shit. And my parents are white collar. So I don't fit in their bracket. But I also took away a lot from prison that helped me to where I am today, because I was not going to be defined by my inmate number. It's why I make high six figures. I make 4 times the amount of a white shirt does. So let that sink in, right? There's a reason, because I wasn't going to be placed anywhere on a step, a stoop, or below somebody else to tell me that I can never have that because I made a mistake in my life.
That's that's a good point. Yeah. I have a quick question with that too, if you don't mind, right?
No, please.
Please, and I say this all due respect, okay? I'm just curious, like how much did your race play a part in your level of success? I understand that you had like a
No, completely understand. It didn't.
Because when we look at a lot of, when we, depending upon one's ethnic background, race, color, background, stuff like that, we still see that for Black men, Black women, brown men, Black women, we not only do we struggle with a scarlet letter of felony and violent crime, et cetera, we also deal with race in the workforce as well.
Absolutely.
So I was just curious about that for you.
So I covered this with when I had a one-on-one with Cardell. You can find our talk somewhere. I think it's recorded, right? Somewhere.
Yeah, I've seen some of it, yeah.
So for me, I thought that would be on my side. But when you come out of felon, it doesn't matter your skin color. It doesn't matter. I didn't fit in any place. And then when I tried to help people that were lower on the totem pole. And I was like, I'm going to make a difference. I'm going to help the disadvantaged ones, the ones that are minority, because this is not right. I mean, I saw it on both sides. I saw how race played an issue even in prison politics. And, you know, just Carl will tell you, like, before, when I got in trouble, I was on the opposite side of the law, you know, and I was in protective custody going in because I put people in prison when I, you know, was with the prosecuting office, and there was nothing that I could do. My privilege, I would have hoped to play a part in that, and it didn't. When we come out of prison, Lester, it's a life sentence for everybody. They don't tell you that when you're making your plea deal, or they don't tell you that when the jury's left the room, that even though you're not getting life, this is a life sentence. And that stigma follows us. And we have, to this day, I'm 13 years out. 13.
Congratulations.
And there's people that will act like this crime just happened yesterday. I had this discussion with Cardell because I'm so successful that when people did find out about my beating, I always label myself as a fallen felon, because they will look at me and they'll be like, I'm shocked. Well, why are you shocked? Because I did something that I said I was going to do, or I overcame an obstacle that you didn't think anybody could. So you labeled me. You categorized me, and then you made it seem like I couldn't ever succeed.
Yeah. That's what's up. Congrats. And I just want to always, like, not always, but when we have these dialogues about reentry and support group, I think it's very important that we understand, like, the 48,000 collateral consequences attached to a person's felony conviction. Like you said, we are given a sentence, but then with that sentence comes collateral consequences attached to it.
Absolutely.
Outside of the 48,000 for Black men, Black women, brown women, that's just multiplied even more. So the challenges sometimes are difficult. Not saying that we can't overcome them, because we have people that are continuously pushing through the barriers. But that's just another factor when we're talking about supporting a person outside of prison, is that all of these things go into the play of depression. And I think that mental health is a conversation that we have to have around reentry. Because men, I constantly get in my inbox all the time from family members about a loved one who has come home and thinking about suicidal thoughts. They can't process rejection. They've like, I've done my time, and sometimes it's based upon the nature of that person's crime. We know that the society look down at certain convictions, that people will have a level of shame when it comes down to like anything like violating women, murder, stuff like that, and they dealing with that rejection. So how do we help these individuals deal with depression and suicidal thoughts, and may have even experienced it while they were in prison? How do we help them push through all of that and thrive in the level in which we all are? We have these felony convictions. So I just think that in a support group like this, and it's really great to have these conversations, but we got to really like find ways to help individuals and family members understand the importance of mental health for a loved one who's coming home from prison, because we know what goes on behind those prison walls that we don't talk about sometimes. And some people have had it worse than they ever had it in the society. They have went through so much hell in prison that they suppressed it, and now they're free and they can't talk about it. So
no, I agree with you 100%. And the good thing is that having a support group like this is to bring the resources together so that there's multiple avenues. So somebody can say like, hey, I really just need to speak to Lester today because he touched base on a point that that hit home, and I want to just do a one-on-one with him and let people know that you're available and say that this is your worth. And I'm going to invest my time in your worth because you're worth it to me. I've been where you're at. I've struggled with the same things that you're going through, and let me help you through that process. And I'm going to show you how to win that worth back, because we're not going to be like that. And you want to be great, surround yourself with greatness, and we're going to become great people. Absolutely. And then those people are going to feed off of us, and we're going to give them a little fish, and we're going to hand more fish out. And before you know it, it's going to become just an epidemic for ourselves, and we're going to make change. And that's how it starts. It starts with one voice coming together with another voice. Now we're multiple voices saying this change needs to happen. Just like the BLM movement, that has to happen. The people need to recognize this. People need to recognize that there's minorities that are just because of their color of their skin have gotten a worse sentence or harsher punishment. We need to draw attention to these things.
Yeah.
These are things that how we're going to change that is this voice that we're talking about here. We have rally days and summits, and we have people come together so that when we create vehicle bills, which is what I'm doing in my state and a couple of other states, because I firmly believe that if you've been convicted of a felony after 10 years, you should have that expunged off your record if you've had no contact with law enforcement, or at least have your record sealed. And that's why Ban the Box is such a huge movement right now, because you're taking the basic rights away from people that are coming out that require it: housing and jobs. If you're going to deny me a house and a place to live, and you're going to tell me the only thing I can do is pitch a tent underneath a bridge somewhere, an overpass, no, that's when we need to talk, because I don't wear that permanent P on my chest. There is no scarlet letter. We don't have debtors prisons anymore. But why is somebody that's doing a life sentence in a state that's legal for weed, and they're doing a life sentence for 2 pounds? I can't wrap my head around that.
Absolutely.
And that's why our support group and having Cardell come together and say, we're gonna implement these things, because we want people to know that this is a safe haven. This is where people like us have all been through that. And we're going to continue to make those vision boards. We're going to not lose sight of the goal. And that's to come over the horizon and say, now there's change and we've made laws. And that's where our voice needs to be heard, is on that Senate floor. That's where change is going to start.
Absolutely. That's one of the things I do here in South Carolina. I've been successful in getting 5 Ban the Box policies passed there in South Carolina in just over the last 18 months. So part of my role as a formerly incarcerated person is advocacy, is changing policies that will actually reflect change. Because again, we know the challenges not only on the outside, but we know the challenges inside of the prisons. So those who are closest to the problem have the power and the resources to bring about change. We have been impacted by a system that has altered our lives. And I understand that we committed a crime, I get it. But in committing that crime, we have done what we needed to do. The judge sentenced us. We have served that time. Now it's time for us to come back. No one never told me that when I will get out of prison, I will be denied employment. But it was a condition of my parole for its employment. So I agree with you. We just got to continue to amplify that voice, our voices, and the voiceless of those who are still inside of the prison system. And as those individuals who are transitioning out, we have to give them the real truth of what the challenges are. And some individuals not as privileged as others to go to the communities, have the relationships with others, to connect with the things. Not even that, but the education. We know that education plays a very intricate part of one's success after incarceration as well. And we look at the literacy rate inside of a prison system, it's almost 95% of those inside of a prison system can't read or write beyond a 7th grade level of education. Now you going back in just thinking, Linda, like we was talking about, the guy did 30 years.
Right.
Think about how much technology has changed in the last 30 years, where we're struggling now with keeping up with the iPhone. You've been in prison for 30 years. You may have gotten your GED. You may have not gotten your GED in 30 years. Now you're walking out of the world and you're required to get a job. One of the biggest challenges for me when I walked out of prison after 22 years was a computer. The job which I applied for required me to fill some of the paperwork out on a computer at the job, not at home getting someone to help me. But when I went in, the human resource manager literally handed me the laptop and told me to sign the document. And when he said sign the document, I'm looking for a pen.
Right.
You know, but you have to hit the button to sign. But I'm just to be honest, because of what I was exposed to inside of prison, meaning that the jobs that I held in prison was always creating curriculums and programs in prison. The prison chaplain had already given me a laptop before I even walked out of prison. Inside of the chapel where I worked, I was already learning how to work the computer. So it was not that much intimidating for me, but then I thought about so many of the other men and women that I know that got out of prison after serving that amount of time. They didn't know what the hell they were doing. And they lost job opportunities with that. So we gotta going again, what's the a re-entry package for family members? It's not closed. Closed is okay, but enrolled in the basic computer class, enroll in some type of trade. These are things that you have to upscale yourself. Like when you walk out and you done process all of the trauma, and that should be one of them. Getting familiar with computer, getting some education, some certifications, so that can upscale you, so that you can move forward. Because if not, you playing with a 40 years of past education that's outdated, and it's not going to get you that far in the society at all.
Right.
We also have to advocate for change in that as well. I mean, there's a lot of prisons that I deal with now that don't even have those types of programs because they claim funding isn't there, but they're giving, stipends or raises to people before they're thinking about that transition to anybody that's coming out. So we'll deal with the mediocrity of it first, and then we'll deal with the repercussions of it later. And their repercussions for them is that revolving door. So it's just nothing but money. And we need to help find the resources that could put those types of things in prisons, or having those people come forward that are willing to volunteer their time to those. So not a lot of prisons have that right now, especially like they're using COVID as a blanket of,
Yeah.
you don't have anything. Well, you're not trying.
Yeah, I agree.
But I was just in another reentry mastermind group the other day. The guy, in the Life, you ever heard of the Life Connection program inside of prison? Life Connection?
Yes.
Okay, the guy that started that program, that designed that program and started that program, I don't know if they have it in the state, but I know it's in the feds. He's in this group, and he was saying through the what's it called, the Second Chance Act, that there is, he says a lot of people don't know this, but there is funding for nonprofit organizations to go into prisons and introduce a program. He says what's happening is the same old regular programs that they've been using for,
outdated stuff.
years, outdated programs.
They're still using those encyclopedias that were sold door to door. Come on.
Yeah. He says they're
by people who've been in.
that are still in there, and he's like, we have to start pushing to do the Second Chance Act, First Step Act, one of the two. I think it's the Second Chance Act, whatever one just went passed, whatever.
First Step Act was recently passed.
Yeah, which one was just recently passed? He says through that, we have to start pushing to get your organization into the prison if you got a curriculum,
Yeah.
And what he was suggesting, what they see, this what they asked me to join the group, and I've been just sitting back listening, and they was like, well, what we should do is come up with a national alliance of people that doing re-entry work. He said, because it's hard to get in there just under your organization, but if you got a national alliance where everybody has come together and they all under this national alliance, and you see that they getting in all over the United States, all over the nation, then it'd be easier to get in. And everybody in the group was like, yeah. And so he's like, yeah, we need to create that. So we all agreed to create it. And so when we said, yeah, we created, he was like, yeah, we already got the name and the paperwork. I was like, oh man. You already had it set up. You kind of just reeled us on in. And basically what it was, what he's trying to do is get people that's serious about reentry. They got the organizations, Path to Redemption organization, you got an organization. And we all connect and we become a member of this alliance. And now, so this alliance is an alliance of a lot of reentry organizations. And so let's say it's 5 prisons in South Carolina that you could possibly get into with your curriculum, or it's 5 prisons in Oregon you could possibly get into, or it's 5-6 prisons in Missouri that we could possibly get into. Instead of trying to just get in there with your name, get in there through this national alliance, which has other alliances that might have a bigger name than yours, that getting into prison works and everything else. I was like, it sounds good, but I kind of sit back and was thinking, like, it was kind of weird how you know, it was a thought process, but it was something that was already, they already had it laid out.
What would be a mission? What would be like if we do a National Alliance reentry? Like, what is the overall mission and the objective and the core competency of these of the whole umbrella? Like, is it going to be a religious motivated? Because we know that most of the programs that are getting into the prison are religious based. Like prison.
No, see that, and that's one thing that I had said. Like, I'm not going in there under the I'm not trying to go in there under the religion, the base. You see what I'm saying?
No, we're going under reality.
Yeah,
We're going under reality that these people need to know
and
what they're going up against and what they're going to
then on top of that, we was talking about having the family and, you know what I'm saying, involvement, you know what I'm saying, getting them into it. Then they went kind of, I ain't gonna say they went kind of left field, but then they started talking about, well, it can be like reentry for, it's not just for people in prison. They got to talk about the homeless, and then they got to talk about the veterans. And I'm like, I don't know about all of that. I'm just, you know what I'm saying, I'm prison reentry. Yeah, you know.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? I like the concept, but it's some things that I wouldn't implement in that concept, you know what I'm saying? So I just really sat back and just really drawn on what they was talking about, and you know, like, all right, that sounds cool. I wouldn't do that. You know,
I just think that it's about networking. I think that you can get in if you network with the right people, the right organizations, create the correct curriculums. I think it's our time, meaning what I mean our time is those who have those lived experiences, those who have lived in a dehumanizing environment for so long, and now they're thriving. They're have thrived beyond the norm, right? It's time to create these using your voice, my voice, and others to create these programs to start going back into the prison systems and doing what we need to do, and raising funds. You know, if anything about connecting with any alliance is about how do we do fundraising for what we believe in is going to be helping these men and women in the prison system. You know, I think it's just our time, man. It's up to us to stop asking for permission to sit at somebody else's table when it comes to reentry, create our own table, our own curriculum, our own objectives, use our story to empower other people to bring about that real prison criminal justice reform in our communities, you know. So with that being said, listen, I'm in South Carolina. It's 9:40 on my end. You can see my eyes looking kind of Chinese like.
You're fine now, you're fine.
Yeah, I'm a little tired. It's 10:30 is my bedtime. I still get up at 4:30 and drink that cup of coffee, but I don't sit and wait for the officer to open the door for me.
No doubt.
But
anytime you open on Thursdays, man, this is what we do, man. Always feel free to stop in, brother.
Yeah,
everybody.
I'm glad that I saw it today, man. I've been wanting to do it, and my schedule just permits me today. And it was great, good conversation. How to pronounce your name, Mars? Matthew? Marissa. It's a pleasure talking to you. I really enjoyed it. Great talking to you guys. Let's link up on. Do you guys have like Facebook, social media? What's your time? We're on Facebook.
I think everybody in here is in the reentry group.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You'll find everybody in there.
Right.
Except for Linda's kind of Linda kind of incognito.
Yeah, right.
Cool.
Well, hold on. Let me explain myself since my brother done put me out there. Because of my clearance, it makes it, I have to make it somewhat difficult for certain people to find me.
Girl, we understand it.
DHS does look at my social
Sure
media.
does, girl. Sure does. We got you.
I think I got like 34 friends. I'm serious. So if anybody doing anything crazy and shady, I'd be like unfriending and blocking. So, but I would be more than happy to give you my personal email and personal phone number.
Yeah, I'm just like, just connected on social media platforms. But yeah, that's fine. You guys just have a blessed night. Like I said, God willing, Thursday, I jump back on. I don't know, because I think my schedule is stacked up next Thursday. But if I do have time, brother, I would definitely go jump on. Keep doing what you do. Keep inspired. Keep motivating. and keep making an impact. And you guys have a blessed night.
You too.
Thanks,
too,
Leslie.
Leslie.
You have a great night too.
All right, be blessed.
Bye-bye.
Cardell, we have to get a part of these groups that you're in. We all just have to storm the beach in Normandy, okay?
I'm gonna put y'all in this reentry mastermind group too.
Yeah,
The
I
lady,
think that would help a lot.
the lady just she just added me to it. And then they talking some stuff. So I really ain't been saying too much. I really just been sitting back drawing on
Yep, yep.
what they got going on, and then I go from there. But next time they send me the link for the next Zoom, I'm gonna send it to you.
Yeah, please. I just like to sit back and listen to what their ideas are too and see how we can feed off of it
Yeah,
and nurture it to be something big. This is where we need to be. And I won't stop until we get there. You know I won't.
right. And so I just finished up my my workbooks. So I'm gonna start trying to push them into the prisons along with the curriculum.
What if we just get them in there? What if we sent a couple in to people that we may know and say, listen, I'm selling this because it has to cover like the paper and stuff, whatever, and the cost of having it made. Get this out there and see what feedback you get back from the stuff that you're putting in, you know?
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna get off here because I got a long day ahead tomorrow.
It's okay. I tried. I was late getting on.
We need to get up with each other, see what we can do. What's her name messaged me. She's excited that you are a mentor.
She's doing great. I send her motivational things every morning. I ask her how she's doing. There was a day that I didn't hear from her and I got worried. And I said, you know, I don't talk to her every day, but I try to every other day because I don't want, you know, she still needs her space and her and her roots to go. But she told me that she was struggling, and I said, you know, those are the days you need to come to me.
Yes,
Because those are the days I'm going to pick you up and carry you on the days that you think that you're not going to be able to take another step. I'm going to be
Right.
your biggest cheerleader and push you through it, and you will be successful. I told her that.
So yeah,
Well, you go-
I'll message you and I'll give you a call sometime this weekend, and we can catch up.
That sounds great, Dal. I hope that you have a great
All
night.
right.
And
Have a good
I'm
night.
sure who else is on.
Denise.
Denise, I hope you're having a great night and that we will see you hopefully soon. Cardell,
Okay,
thank you so
will do.
much. All right,
All
Dal.
right.
And
Good night.
I'll look forward to hearing from you, Cardell, okay?
All right.
All right, bye, Dal.